Hi there, guys. God bless each and every one of you. Very sort of troubling article for us to be looking at today as Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. So before they've even begun to roll out the tyranny that's going to be connected to digital ID, literally forcing this upon the populace. Here we are seeing the Great Reset literally in motion. But before I begin, guys, did feel very led to read out some scripture for us today. Going to be looking at Isaiah 13, which reads, "Raise a banner on a bare hilltop. Shout to them, beckon to them to enter the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my holy warriors, I have summoned my warriors to carry out my wrath, those who rejoice in my triumph. Listen, a noise on the mountains like that of a great multitude. Listen, an uproar among the nations like nations massing together. The Lord Almighty is mustering an army for war. They come from faraway lands, from the ends of the heavens, the Lord and the weapons of his wrath, to destroy the whole country. Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty. Because of this, all hands will grow limp, every man's heart will melt, terror will seize them, pain and anguish will grip them. They will writhe like a woman in labor. They will look aghast at each other, their faces aflame. See, the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it. The stars of heaven and their constellations will not show their light. The rising sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty and will humble the pride of the ruthless. I will make a man scarcer than pure gold, more rare than the gold of Ophir. Therefore, I will make the heavens tremble and the earth will shake from its place at the wrath of the Lord Almighty in the day of his burning anger. Like a hunted gazelle, like sheep without a shepherd, each will return to his own people, each will flee to his native land. Whoever is captured will be thrust through. All who are caught will fall by the sword. Their infants will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be looted and their wives ravished. See, I will stir up against Medes who do not care for silver and have no delight in gold. Their bows will strike down the young men. They will have no mercy on infants, nor will they look with compassion on children. Babylon, the jewel of kingdoms, the glory of the Babylonians' pride will be overthrown by God like Sodom and Gomorrah. She will never be inhabited or lived in through all generations. No Arab will ever pitch his tent there. No shepherd will rest his flocks there. But the desert creatures will lie there. Jackals will fill their houses. There the owls will dwell, and there the wild goats will leap about. Hyenas will howl in her strongholds, jackals in her luxurious palaces. Her time is at hand, and her days will not be prolonged. Really beautiful scripture, very terrifying scripture coming out from Isaiah 13. This is what the Lord's been doing, with us, is summoning warriors, summoning people together to meet in fellowship as they would an army for war. See how amazing the day of the Lord is coming, a cruel day with wrath and fierce anger. It's great for us. It's a great and terrible day, guys. Great that we escape this, but terrifying for those that are left behind, to make the land desolate and destroy the sinners within it. The stars of heaven and their constellations will not show their lights. The rising sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its lights. I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty, and will humble the pride of the ruthless. Do we not sort of long for the Lord to come in his great glory and his splendor, but also to right so many wrongs, to set up his reign and his kingdom, taking it out of these monstrous individuals? So really great that we were able to just start with some scriptures. I was having a bit of time this morning to see what the Lord wanted to say to us, and that was pretty much it, so I'll leave that to you. That was Isaiah 13. But our video today, guys, that we're going to be looking at is Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. The Great Reset in motion. Also going to be looking at some articles coming out from raptureready.com and a few other headlines here for you. So let's start with raptureready.com. Floods in Pakistan leave nearly 1,000 dead. That's 6.3 million have been affected and 2.3 million have been displaced since June. Also here, other landslides, at least 18 dead, 16 missing after cloudbursts and landslides in northern India. Here we're seeing this in early October. Earth will pass through the orbital debris stream of an extremely large comet that was just discovered. Scientists have just discovered another giant space rock that is rapidly heading in our direction. Do you think God's trying to get our attention to start looking up, perhaps? See that old movie that, in, was it Netflix? It's like, don't look up, it's a case of, no, you might just want to. So yeah, I'll leave that article there alone. But here we go. Israel arming, bankrolling Jewish fighters in southern Syria. That's very troubling. With tensions continuing to simmer in Syria's Suwada governorate, senior Druze commanders are reporting that the Israeli government has been arming and financing Druze militia that are seeking a large amount of autonomy over the area. Still troubles going on over there. Here we're seeing Michigan Muslim mayor informs Christian he's not welcome in Dearborn after he objects to street signs honoring an Islamic terrorist sympathizer. The mask has totally fallen off of Islamists who are in political power in the United States. This is what's happening over here in the UK as well, guys. They're all mayors of towns up north. None of them half of them don't speak English, don't understand the sovereignty of the country or its values or principles at all. A glaring example of that is Dearborn Mayor Abdullah H. Hamoud, who told a Christian resident that he was no longer welcome in the city after he objected to street signs that honor an Islamic terrorist sympathizer. That's just not okay, is it? Well, we were reporting yesterday in some of the headlines around mosques over here in the UK that were teaching its congregation how to stone women to death. And this is what happens with Sharia law. This is what happens to the takeover from the Islamic faith. Also continuing America's alarming depression problem. Depression remains an ongoing problem in the US as historically high rates persist. Is there any surprise with the beast system oppressing it so much? Polling company Gallup reveals the reported percentage of US adults suffering or receiving treatment for depression has been higher than 18% for the past 2 years. A decade ago in 2015, the number was just over 10%. So almost doubling in literally 10 years. Could that also be a lot of what is being sprayed overhead? I suspect so. Netanyahu, Rubio and Huckabee reopen 2,000-year-old pilgrimage road in Jerusalem. Recent summit in China signals a shift in global energy politics in the East. Viktor Orban, Hungary should shun the European Union's policy and forge its own path. Very interesting there. He urged Hungarians to pursue their own national path, this sort of like united Europe that we're seeing. Please do also see our post that we put up yesterday around Ursula von der Leyen. You might quite like that. Our society has produced a lost generation that doesn't have any hope. This is it. One of the most powerful pieces of evidence that our society is a failure is the fact that we have produced a lost generation of young adults that don't have any hope. Is that really surprising when you start telling them that they're doomed by this climate lie narrative? Is it any surprise when you sexually confuse them and their identity and everything of that sort? You're destroying the things that are bedrocks for them in growing up and being raised, which is the family unit, and you want to tear that apart. Are you surprised when you're lying to them when it comes to the curriculum? Are you surprised when you forget the psychological impact of these guys being locked down and away during the COVID years? And that's impact on a person's mental health with everything else that they're being groomed for when it comes to this technology, and how dark and sinister and oppressing most of it is. You'd only have to listen to a few of their sort of playlists, before you'd want to sort of like, self-harm yourself. It's that dark, it's that sinister, all about broken love and heartache and heartbreak. None of it's uplifting. Don't even get me started on the movies and the graphic nature of violence. Don't get me started on the games that they play either. You're wondering why children are just so, feeling so hopeless when they're not also being in church and they're not encouraged to have that relationship with the Lord either. It's like the technology seems to be the thing that is raising this generation. We ship most of them off to public schools where they are trained to believe that they came from monkeys. That'll do it. There is no purpose to their lives, and when they die, nothing awaits for them on the other side. This godlessness. You remove God from, the school environment and from the family home and from greater, wider society, you're going to have this as an impact. And wonder why so many young children are taking their own lives. So many children are also self-harming. So many getting really stuck into addiction really, really early on in life. This sick philosophy is endlessly pounded into the heads of our young people, and many of those who have adopted it have come to the conclusion that they may as well live as hedonistically as they can while they are here. Of course, that doesn't give them any meaning or purpose either. And so a lot of them end up sort of drifting through life, seeking anything that can fill the painful emptiness that they feel inside. Yet so many young people are also turning to the Lord Jesus Christ as well in a relationship, as he gives them that hope, takes away the hopelessness and their heartache and that void within them, and fills them with his love, fills them with his holy presence and his Holy Spirit. But it is a real battle for the young generation, is it not? So many of them are just groomed by technology, and how dark and sinister that really is. Coming back to another article, they say they've come to conquer. Are you listening? This isn't private faith. In their own words, Islam is a complete political, socio-economic system that must prevail over the entire man-made system. Well, we were talking about our video the other day, guys, about Islam taking over 2 billion of them and counting, taking over Europe. The Islamification of this country with a king in office who isn't defender of the Christian faith, but likes to brown nose Islam and have Ramadan festivals in Windsor and the like. Inconceivable. Can't wait until we come back and start taking all these down, all their temples, all their mosques. Religious supremacy over the rule of law. This is what they want, their Sharia law. They're not hiding it. They don't assimilate into the culture. They want to take it over. And they're declaring this. The only question is, will America wake up before it's too late? Probably not. Australian Muslim senator, here you go, Exhibit A, Fatima Payman cheers Charlie Kirk's assassination on TikTok. Let's look at some other headlines of the day as well. This one's really quite upsetting. Excuse me, I'll just take that off. Just so irritating, these little stupid notifications that never seem to come on other when I'm going live. Anyway, okay, article coming out here. Caught on camera. Government Hochul's, I don't know if that's Hochul or whatever you want to call her, Government Hochul COVID booster shot exposed as fake by medical professionals. You remember those ones where they were, sort of like leading by example? Yeah, you've seen them. Please see our community post as well with Elon Musk, Exhibit A. Oh, yeah, that's an injection. Fantastic. That'll do. Oh, oopsie daisy. We've still got the cap on. Never mind. They're not going to see that, are they? Well, here you go. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, whatever you want to call herself, recently lined up for her highly publicized COVID booster shot, but what was supposed to be a show of confidence in the booster has quickly turned into a scandal. Go and see for yourself that particular article at the People's Voice.tv. All right, this is absolutely remarkable. Okay, and then here we go. Look, now they're starting to politicize stuff using the death of Charlie Kirk, suspend Kimmel over Charlie Kirk's remark, or risk losing broadcast license. Unbelievable. We've made videos about this on our Rumble account, guys. Please encourage you to go and see this. FBI obtains Isaac Cappy tape proving Tom Hanks is a serial pedophile. Been doing it for generations. We've been seeing this. He's been caught at that, real close ally to, Obama and those perverted lots. This is what is really interesting. We've been covering Ursula von der Leyen, have we not? Well, she escaped the Pfizer rap, but here you go. The European Union chief faces 2 separate no confident votes. Isn't that really telling? Having 2 motions of censure filed at the same time, that's damning. Maybe unprecedented, yet the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will face 2 separate no confident votes at the EU Parliament early in October. The separate initiatives came from far right and far left parliamentary groups. So on both sides, they don't like her. Absolutely. She's a monster. She's a witch. One of the most evil women in history. This is the woman who wants to, give like £350 million to Bill Gates' Garvey to inject 300 million children. She's the one that wants to boast about the Club of Rome's depopulation agenda. She's the one that's like flipping off all these Nazi signals to her peers. Like, look at what I'm able. She's just a hideous, vile human being. And here you've got her having as a vote of no confidence. In his statement, as reported by Brussels Signals, he is seeking moral damages and an official apology for what he alleges were defamatory and political motivated accusations. Unbelievable. So she's facing the votes of no confidence. You just see how she'll be spared from this, just like she was with all of the deviants when it came to the Pfizer emails and people trying to get her there as she was bankrolling and making private deals in that particular way. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Bless you. Hi, Al Sherry. Thank you for holding the fort. Hi, Alison. Good morning. Yeah. Okay. Good morning, daughter of Ishakar. Bless you guys. Yeah, exactly. They are. These guys are showing their real colours, their true colours. Okay, this one is a little bit more out there, guys. We've been talking around digital identification for some time now. All right, over here in the UK, you've got BritCard. They're already sort of like using this as an excuse just for them, the minority of illegal immigrants to be having to prove their identity. There's no reason for any one of us to have that. If you're going for a job interview or anything of that sort, you have to take in your ID, you take your driving license, or you take your passport just to prove yourself and that, or you take some utility bill. You don't need to have this. There's enough identification to verify who it is that you truly are, as if these guys don't have everything about us anyway. And so it's just really awful as well that you also have to prove already as a British citizen that you've got the right to work in this particular country. So there's no real need for this digital ID. So now they're using that as a justifiable excuse to roll this out. Again, we keep saying, why is it the minority All right, this is really important to clock your head, right? Why is the minority always against the majority? It's because you've got the 1% against the 99%. That's exactly the ethos that they have from their sort of like vantage point, and then what they want to roll out on the ground. There's no need for it. And here you go, what we've been told from already Ursula von der Leyen. We've already told you about her. But she's the one that literally signed up with Bill Gates, as well as the Gavi vaccines that she wants to pump into 300 million children's arms, but also turning around and signing up for his digital ID. The failure to have his digital ID will exclude you from society. How close is that to the mark of the beast, where you're not going to be able to buy and sell? Look at what we were saying yesterday around these shops, putting all of this technology in and around, making it some sort of like police zone, like you're, securing money. Food is money. They're literally getting all of the technology there to be able to turn people away, apparently under the pretense to reduce crime. All of these tyrannies all come with justifiable reasonings, but they're not. And we're seeing not only, Bill Gates turning around and saying that, you've also got the UK turning around and agreeing to this digital ID, Australia as well. And now here you have Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. This is astonishing, guys. This is nothing more than the Great Reset in motion. And when we're talking about, the Great Reset, it's just been really annoying. Sorry, my technology just loves trying to mess with me when I got to do my thing. All right. When we're talking about digital ID, I'm just going to give you 5 reasons, as if I haven't given you valid reasons already in the past, or at least over the last week with the, images that we've put up through the community posts. But number 1, 5 reasons to say no to digital IT. Number 1, loss of privacy. Every move, purchase, and interaction could be logged and monitored. It's not could be, it will be. It's already being logged. All of our pay, everything's logged. I go onto Amazon to order some hay or some feed. Oh, it's like it's got everything all remembered. Oh, you might like this. You might like this. You bought this so and so. I've even got my Alexa device telling me when I need to be buying my Guineas flakes or whatever, trying to monitor my expenditure, trying to get to know me, trying to, second guess me, trying to have this relationship with me that I don't want with it. I make those informed decisions myself as and when or if I choose to buy that. I might want to get them something else. I might want to mix their diet up a little bit so that they're not being bored with what it is that I'm feeding them. But every interaction is logged, isn't it? Everything's receipted, everything's online in this particular form. Number 2, centralized control. Whoever runs the system holds enormous power over your daily life. Just look at what happens with the example that I've shared with you guys from my personal experience relating to just having Microsoft, because it was the only sort of like platform that you could use a Word document. So a year and a bit ago, I was writing quite a bit. So I had to get Bill Gates's, because he has the whole industry, monopolizes the whole thing. Like we were saying yesterday about small businesses and these Sainsbury's and these Tesco's destroying, young family firms and companies that have been in there for generations. But here you go again. Whoever holds the enormous power over your particular life. That centralized control, guys, is really, really troubling, that we're handing this over to those individuals. Not very good stewards of that. Number 3, data breaches. It's not safe. So many sort of like examples yesterday we painted around being, misidentified by this facial recognition. Huge databases are irresistible targets for hackers, risking your identity. And look what happened when it came to Bill Gates, was just taking money, and I cancelled it. But what Bill Gates will really do deceptively is that he'll put that onto your bank card. He won't put it on a standing order or direct debit. Doesn't want it on that. So it's impossible for you to cancel. The only way you do that is raising a dispute with your bank. And then even that doesn't happen. So I raised dispute saying I don't want to pay for this anymore. I'm done with any of that. I have a right to cancel. And it was still taking money out of my account. And then they reimbursed me some money. We're really sorry, Mr. Trendell, for your troubles and everything. Here, have a gratuitous, and that's fine, whatever. And then he started taking out more money, like another £80, just literally. And then the next day, another £10, £12. And then just carried on doing it. I haven't got that amount in my money in my account to be sweating it. Like, I can't afford for him to be taking £100 out of my account just like that. And that's exactly a prime example. So in the end, I had to cancel my bank card, and I didn't want to, because I was more worried that the next bank card that I would be receiving would be far more sort of like tracked and surveyed and have more tech and more limits, and they demonetized me even more. And my pin was 6662. Hilarious. It's just like, you know, having that sort of, these guys having this power over your lives. And guys, we are so sheeple mentality. 5.65 billion people rolled up their sleeves. So many people just go along with it. Oh, it'll be fine, never mind. And they believe in the hype. They believe in these people. We really do need to stand up against this. Number 4, exclusion. No ID, no access. People could be locked out of work, healthcare, travel, or even shopping. So what happens if you go and get a job in some place like our Annie over here, and then she ends up giving her iris scan and all that just to get into the building, having to scan your palm instead of just your badge or some barcode that's on that? What was happening through the COVID years as well, when it's like, prove your vaccination status, and then you being excluded in that particular way. We only need another pandemic, guys, and this will really force all of this upon everybody else. How the church was literally given no access. It was okay for strip joints. It was okay for bars and pubs and nightclubs to be open, but oh no, we've got to shut the churches. And the church just rolled over again. Imagine that, all the healthcare. You're not able to go and do this. You're not able to travel or even do any of your shopping. You wait until they start putting these police barricades everywhere around your town and around your city, and you're going to have these checkpoints like Nazi Germany, just having to show your ID in that particular way. We all know where it's all heading. Number 5, freedom erosion. Once digital ID becomes required, reversing it will be impossible. And this is why they're so desperate to push it through. Digital ID is being pushed in the name of convenience. It's a lie. And security, another lie. These guys aren't going to be able to sort of walk into any job in this country and try and fob it off, because you have to have like a national insurance for your tax code or whatever. Americans have their own versions of that. You can't blag the system. So there's no need for any of it. But in reality, it hands unprecedented control to governments, corporations, and unelected bodies. Once it is in place, they can decide who gets to participate in society and who doesn't. So with that bank card that I had before I got my new one, I wasn't able ever to use that in anything. I go on the bus, I try and put that on the bus, wouldn't work. Doesn't have a chip and pin, you're done. Amount of times I had to walk away off the bus embarrassed in front of everybody because my bank card, and it's a business account, wouldn't work. And in every other place that was contactless, I was using it and it would not work. Only one place in the whole sort of like place where I shop around me, and it was that little vegetable shop. And this poor little guy with this really sort of like crap, handheld terminal device, it would only work on that. And I just thought that was hilarious. The one shop that I go into that's do you know what I mean? And that's the only place ever. So I'd had to put in my PIN. So when we're talking about these digital weapons that they're using against us, guys, okay, we've got digital IDs from birth, all pertaining and connecting to our personal carbon allowance, our social credit scoring, connecting those to our personal mobile devices, having that relating and being then connected to vast and superior facial recognition, AI automation, data capitalism, all getting geared up and ready for these smart 15-minute cities, all for automation and vehicles, smart streetlights, online censorship laws, public-private partnerships, the internet of everything, for drones and robots as well, geo restrictions for digital currencies and social impact bonds and the sustainable development goals, let alone the 24/7 surveillance. Digital ID, guys, is not to identify yourself. Digital ID will track you, limit and control every aspect of your life. And this also includes those that are literally sort of like trying to sell all of this. We're talking about this particular article all really being around the Great Reset and its push. So what is the Great Reset and its push? Well, this is all about food and resource rationing as they wage war on farming and agriculture and increase the prices of everything else. It's about them wanting to end fossil fuels, legalize pedophilia, bestiality, and sexualize children. This is the Great Reset, guys. The end private farming, world central bank in the form of one world currency, one world government in the form of the World Demonic Forum. They want to end privately owned property businesses so that you're dependent on the system. They want digital world currency, which is the new world order, one world currency. They want to force you with mandatory vaccines. They're also hell-bent on cloning and destroying the family unit. They're intent with chip implants. They want to end single family homes. They want to destroy, as we said, the family. They are the ones that are the most guilty individuals for the global mass infertility, the global genocide. And they're the ones that also want to force you what you can eat with synthetic meat and bugs. They want the government to be raising you and your children. They want to put you and tie you down and imprison you and get you to behave and pucker up and bend over for their social credit score system. These are the guys that want to create their own artificial wombs and clones. These are the ones also that are wanting the one world new age religion, which will incorporate the Noahide laws so they can legally cut off your head. And these are also the guys that want to end commercial air travel so that you can be basically imprisoned. That is basically what the Great Reset is all around. This is also pertaining to the 2030 goals as well, the 17 sustainable goals, which is number one, end world government, end of the nations, talking around the Club of Rome's 10 kingdoms. They want one world army, one world body police force, one world central currency, one world cashless currency. They want the world depopulation and fertility control. We've already done that with the jabs. They want the end of home and car ownership. All right. Mandatory multiple vaccines yearly. You know, they want universal austerity income. They want social media, digital ID. They want microchips for health, shopping and travel. The implementation of a Chinese social credit score system. They want the government-raised children. All businesses are run by the state, and the end of non-essential air travel, humans concentrated into 15-minute zones, and the end of fossil fuels and modern, and they want to limit access to wild spaces. This is what we're talking about. The 17 sustainable development goals that make up Agenda 2030 essentially serve as a recipe for the coming technocratic new world order. The UN plans to have nations to continue to impose new laws and initiatives upon their citizens. In an effort to achieve these goals, which they lump under sustainability, the Agenda 2030 is a ramp up from its predecessor, Agenda 21. As it aims to control everything, control all of lands, water, energy, technology, production, information, animals, and all humans through AI, 6G, blockchain, and RFID. This is why Bill Gates wants all of the water. Like we were saying the other day in our post, if you control the water and the food, you control the people. And we're seeing this now. And we're having that food being very slowly and very subtly weaponized against us when you've got mRNA vaccines in them. Thus, the elite are setting the stage to enslave humanity under the rule of the Antichrist. The New World Order plans to exterminate 90% of the world's population. Question you need to be asking yourself up in there now is this: do you really believe that you are part of that remaining 10%? You might want to educate yourself if you think that is the case. Like we've been saying to these guys that work for the beast system, they ain't telling you what time they're spraying their poisons over. And I very much doubt that that's not going over your house and your family and your loved one's house. And I very much doubt you've got a list of what foods to, ignore and not consume or eat. And what about the water? Yeah, you probably got your own fresh supply, have you? Fluoride and poison free. Is that how that works? Have you got your exit strategy for this nice big underground bunker and mountain cave that you've been given? Because that's who you serve. When the Bible turns around and says it causes all, both great and small, that's everybody. It's going to come underneath the Antichrist reign. So some interesting memes that I've got there for you later. But let's go to the article, guys, coming from the People's Voice. This is just astonishing. Already before what we've read out pertaining to the tyrannies of what digital ID is, look at what they do if you don't take it. Vietnam, this is the testing ground there. Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. Vietnam has erased 86 bank accounts as the nation surrenders to the globalist Great Reset. The State Bank of Vietnam has closed or frozen around 86 million bank accounts because the accounts lack, here you go, the required biometric authentication, which is made mandatory through a government initiative. Excuse me, I was just going to belch. I'm going to read that one again. All right, because that would just be better. You don't need that. Okay, let's do that one again. The State Bank of Vietnam has closed or frozen around 86 million bank accounts because the accounts lack the required biometric authentication, which was made mandatory through a government initiative. So already you've got this incessant one-way, two-way, three-way, four-way, five-way verification. And even with my bank, okay, it's just like, would you like to continue with your payment with or without biometric, authentication? No, I'm not giving you that. I fell for that when I first got my iPhone. My thumbprint never flipping worked. Do you know what I mean? I fell for that when you was asking for my face, and then my face aged and that didn't work, and I had to no more. You don't get to have those things anymore. It's like all these passwords that you get given. But this is what happens when you mandate, okay, having to surrender your biometric authentication. And then this is the thing I was praying about this morning. It was just like when they turn around to us and say, well, why don't you surrender that then? What have you got to hide? Actually, I'm going to use your words against you. I have a lot to hide. Okay, so I'm going to use that against you. I have a lot to hide. I want to hide my identity. I want to hide my gender. I want to hide my political preferences. I want to hide my religious, ideas and my thoughts. I want to hide my face. I want the right to hide my name and my details. I want to protect my identity, my autonomy. So actually, yeah, I've got quite a lot to hide, actually. By forcing every account onto biometric rails and erasing inactive or unverified balances, where has all that money gone? Yeah, the state is doing two things. It is tightening its digital grip and closing off unofficial channels that could otherwise move money around or out. So it's a case of you don't give up your face rec, you don't give up your voice or something of that sort. That's it. So new banks like you're seeing all over YouTube. Two things I want to warn you about with YouTube today. Number one, the banking. Let's just keep with that. These Monzo accounts. When you get a Monzo account, you have to give up your face recognition. You have to give all that up. And then you have to read out some sort of a script. So apparently, if you ever phone up, they'll be able to identify you by voice recognition. The second thing is the Church of Latter-day Saints that are also advertising and marketing upon many, many Christian channels. You've got Christian channels, really godly people, and no offense to them, but they are literally having sponsored by Latter-day Saints and the cult. That's not okay, family. But this is what we're seeing, isn't it? Tightening the rope on sort of like taking away the choices. Just like the monopoly of all of these really big companies that we were saying around Tesco's and Sainsbury's. Now the monopoly of literally all of this is their way or no way. And you'll already get excluded. Where has all that money gone from these 86 million people's bank accounts? They've been taken. Did they not also evidence that when it came to the truckers and what they were able to do when it comes to non-compliance? See what's happening in China. They are telling the public that this is about fighting scams. Again, always like the devil, a little bit of a truth mixed up with 99.9999999% of it, you know. But actually the hidden function is to keep all financial flows within view and under control at a time when dollar scarcity risk is rising. So this is it. We're talking about digital IDs. We're talking about surrendering your facial, you know, your face and your iris, your voice, your handprints, all of these incessant demands upon you. So this is what they'll be saying. They'll be saying, oh, here you go. We finally got the digital ID. Yay. And then when they've got the digital ID, okay, let's just make this all really secure then. So we can give me your iris now. And we are so gullible and stupid that we give it up. We cannot do this, guys. But this is what it's about, because they want control. You cannot give them control and be disempowered as a result. Sadly, a similar move has already been taking place in Thailand. Be warned, guys, this is heading towards us. What's happening in Vietnam with the 86 million frozen or erased bank accounts is about the government trying to juggle three pressures at once: US tariffs, cutting in exports, the risk of running short on dollar, and the state's broader push to lock down control. Vietnam has erased or frozen 86 million bank accounts as the nation surrenders to the globalist Great Reset. So that's just how do you function without that bank account? Where, do you know what I mean? There's so many things already going around. When I'm looking at some articles and other stuff, and it's like, prove that you're a human, prove your age, and all of this sort of like nonsense. No, go away. I'm not having any of it. Oh yeah, we put cookies on your phones and all this sort of stuff. We put these things on your devices. And then we were having conversations around the other day to say, hey, you know, there's no way, Jose, that the Lord's going to have any of this nasty, controlling, manipulative and deviant technology through in his reign. Anyone wishing to function in society must surrender their biometric data to maintain a bank account. How aggressive and forceful that truly is. Armstrong Economics reports, anyone wishing to function in society must surrender their biometric data to maintain a bank account. The State Bank of Vietnam claims that the measure was a system cleanup aimed at preventing fraud. These guys are the biggest criminals of all. Leave us to our privacy. Leave us the heck alone. You know, back the truck up and shut the front door, please. In actuality, the measure is one step closer towards a national ID system that enables the government to control its citizens' every move. So aggressive. They've got to trial it out somewhere. This is a data cleansing revolution, said Pham R. Tuan, director of the payment department. While the total number of bank accounts remains 200 million, by September 2025, once the legal framework is complete, all accounts without biometric data will be closed to prevent scams and frauds. So we're talking about 87 million right now bank accounts in Vietnam, but he's talking about another extra 200 million on top of that, 114 million more. That unless you give, they surrender this. They can't have this banking. Do you not see Revelation 13:16 taking shape, fam? How aggressive and forceful it all was, wasn't it? Yeah. WEF CEO Larry Fink, who owns everything, turned around and says, time to be Mr. Nice Guy and letting you get up. No. Now we're forcing it on you. Look at what they're doing to Vietnam. After 7 years of promoting non-cash payments, we are moving towards real efficiency. Vietnam recently implemented, here you go there now, a nationwide digital ID, EID system called VNEID that requires both citizens and foreign residents to surrender to the matrix and permit the government to store their personal information in a centralized database. This is astonishing. They do that. They do that with the West. It's called the beast. No joke. Fingerprints, facial biometric data, photographs, passports, nationality, criminal records, and even medical records will be stored in the government database. Participation is not optional. Talking about, fingerprints. When I went to Texas last year, I had to give up my fingerprint. They took the scans of my face and my eye. I had to surrender my passport. Unbelievable. Treating me like a criminal. And I had the civility to come through the front gate. That's how you treat people, really. Project 06, launched in January 2022, hailed as a technological revolution to digitize the country. Project 06's name is the project on developing data applications on population identification and electronic authentication to serve national digital transformation, which aligns entirely with the World Economic Forum's plan for the Great Reset. The concept has been sold to the people as a convenience measure, but in truth, the aim is centralized, unrestrained control over the entire population. Everything from banking to renting an apartment is linked to the digital ID. So with my go bags and everything else and the notes that I've put on those, I have turned around to whoever the Lord has to have them, is to take this bag and run. Because you ain't going to be able to pay your rent. You ain't going to have a place over your head. There's a 4-man tent in there for you. One wrong move and the government can completely erase someone from the system. There you go. There's a social credit score, is it not? One glitch in the power grid and the nation will come to a standstill. The Vietnam government has the power to halt a person's life instantaneously. They're going to be weaponizing, putting this against all of you guys as well. They're tearing it all up already. High-level Vietnamese officials met in Davos in January 2025. Well, there you go. Voila. And shortly after, began voicing concern for bank accounts that were unverified through biometric data. Very clever is the beast system. Knows all of those loopholes. It creates them on purpose. Vietnam has been actively seeking OECD membership and signed a memorandum of understanding citing that Project 06 will enable the nation to meet the OECD's guidelines for regulatory reforms. It's just hogwash. Vietnam was one of the last nations disconnected from the automatic exchange of information that requires members to share banking information under the pretense of preventing tax evasion. There you go, guys. Absolutely astonishing. This is where digital ID is literally heading. This is the consequence of it. Non-compliance means that you're frozen out from your bank. Everything around you is frozen, as we've read out before. Absolutely remarkable sort of tyrannies that we're seeing over here in the UK. We've got the brick card. We've got the excuse. They say fraud in Vietnam, but over here they're using it for immigration. Same thing they'll start doing over, in the US. And when Trump goes and, gets Canada and puts that in the back pocket alongside, Greenland, and then it goes, we'll need all of this to have our, pride of place, trying to rely upon the patriotism of individuals. This is what we're seeing with digital ID, guys. I've read that out to you. I'll be putting in to the community post just a few pictures and imagery there for you. But prayers to, our brothers and sisters in Vietnam after its government literally erases 86 million of their accounts because of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. Is that what's going to happen between you and I? If we refuse that, they're going to just freeze us out. But that's what's already been promised by revelation of the method with Ursula von der Leyen, the EU, and Bill Gates. Failure to have one of their digital IDs will exclude you from society. And here is the proof in the pudding. Okay, guys, we're going to leave that there for us today. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. I'll put this article into the description box for you to have a little read yourself, just to sort of go over, be a Berean as well. I'll be placing some videos in, or some video links into our community post later. Guys, please see them. Please also leave some comments as well. I get a little bit sort of like upset when I do these lives, and then I was looking back because I want to check in frequently with the channel and keep it a safe space as well. And there was like no messages at all. No one bothered to message. And I'm like, not every channel or watchman, you know, will read your messages at all, let alone respond sometimes. Very few, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, please also, you know, it's part of you engaging with our channel that gets the traction to get everything that we need to get vital bits of information like this. Because soon and very soon, this could be literally coming around to you and your doorstep. The tyrannies that are going to come as a manner of consequence of what will start to happen now with being non-compliant in this regard. For those that are separate away from the beast system, they're now going to be putting that squeeze on you. So please do comment on that. Please do share our videos. Please do share our community posts as well, as Vietnam erases 86 million bank accounts of non-compliant citizens who refuse digital ID. Wow. Wow, that's not scary at all, is it really? Okay, thank you guys. God bless you. Thank you, Ashay. Keep it in a safe space, and IR that turned up today. We will touch base again tomorrow. I've got to run an errand, so I might be a little bit later tomorrow with our live, which will give you guys a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a sleep in, and then we'll come back to see what this crazy world is doing next. All right, God bless.